It is that time of week again. We are talking about Giga Nevada and all the progress out there. I'm joined by my good buddy Mark from the Tesla Life. Let's just get into it. We don't need music today. It's too festive with, the Christmas has just passed. Merry Christmas to one and all. My lights are still on because I'm a festive guy. And we're going to just get into it. Mark is, of course, one of the three hosts of the Tesla Life Show. They do great stuff every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Did you do a Christmas show?
We did, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I probably will have caught it. Because
Time travel's fun, isn't it?
It is a little unsettling at times, but it's just how we do it, man. We gotta travel through time. So Zangler back out there doing it as he do. We're looking at and of course visit Zangler. I'm not going to play the video because it's worth watching. We've got this giant door. It was open. He's like, I'm going to look in. Nothing to see. Nothing to see on this particular one. But you can see the factory is coming along great. The roof membrane is installed through most of it now, a lot of it. Got a better angle there. And you can see, how things are going.
One comment on the door, it is the basically only door of that size, certainly on that side of the factory, and on the two sides it's showing in a photo currently. So it's, I wonder if that's going to be the exit point of the completed semis.
Oh,
It's rather large.
Well, it is rather large. I thought it was for oversized manufacturing equipment, present and future, because they would need that, so you don't have to remove a wall when you need new equipment.
That's true.
Semis are big, but not that big. You can see the stamping pit coming along nicely. That's going to be another few months to get that up and running, which would roughly coincide with when production is expected to begin. But you don't necessarily need to do all your stamping in-house on day one.
Yeah, and it's going to be, the concrete's going to take time to cure. Like this thickness of concrete is going to be a whole different ballgame than what the concrete floors are in the factory when it comes to drying and curing.
It'll be relatively, it'll be fairly done drying, curing within 30 days. But yes, it'll continue to harden thereafter. And I think they've got enough time is what's going on. I had addressed a question where someone asked about snowfall. It's the high desert. There's not much snow to fall. And especially Sparks is in a rain shadow, so it gets even less still. You can see some mezzanines going in. Maybe they'll be for operations or break rooms. It's not super critical to determine that. You can see inside this part, not as much going on just yet, but we know that in other parts of the factory, they've begun outfitting. They've been doing the finish work for electrical, presumably plumbing. Some have said, oh no, they got to put down all the electrical conduit and whatnot under the concrete first and then pour it. No. All of that stays overhead for accessibility as they upgrade and make repairs.
Yeah, they make modifications over time.
Constantly. Here's another big door on the other side. So yeah, that's the other side, right?
Dual purpose. That's definitely definitely the other side.
That's great. And this is just a very big facility with a whole lot going on. You can see a little bit here. There we go. I'll look inside. And yeah, they've got the edge done, but not. And this red beam is where they sign it. Steelworkers have a tradition where, upon completion, all the workers sign the final beam. I've never seen one painted a different color. And then, of course, they cover right over it so that you don't really get to see it. But they had a big signing ceremony out there, signaling completion of the main building. Now, that doesn't mean the building's complete. That means the steel work on the primary structures.
Their job is complete. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, you've got the semi out there standing guard.
It's out there plowing the fields. No, it's not.
I did see a comment. Someone said, oh, semi is a disaster. They brought a couple to Germany only to find out that they'll never work here because they're the wrong size. That you think that's what happened? guys, you got to keep it. You got to keep it believable. Yesterday, I had a bunch of comments from accounts that were 4 years old and had 4 subscribers and had posted no comments ever before. That's what an odd coincidence. It's almost as if you're doing this professionally.
Almost, yes.
Almost. Hey, it is not a 0% chance that that's organic, but it's close. It's close to 0. It's a rounding error from 0. There was a question I know Zangler had said, these are probably going to remain hollow. That is true. He thought it was so that they could access equipment from underneath. That is not the case. These will have concrete tops on them. It is because these are supporting more vertical loads than lateral loads. They don't need that much vertical reinforcement. The shape alone will be sufficient for that. It's because they wish to transfer the force further into the ground. So it's just deeper is all it is.
Right. The incredible vibrations that happen from the stamping.
That is probably also why it is outside the building. Because we saw in Texas and in Berlin, and in Texas and Berlin, we really saw it where that part of the building was completely built separate. So like here you see these little air gaps between the actual elements of the building. The same kind of thing applied in Texas where the building was steel, but the stamping cathedral was concrete and very rugged. And then also had this kind of modest separation to insulate from the vibrations from the rest of the building. Vibrations over time can take down anything.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think it's that time of the show, Mark. You know what time it is, right?
Oh, it's question time.
It is question time.
With the crazy montage. Brian's gearing up for next week.
Gearing up for next week. That's what I do. Funny story. Did you know the world famous Mustang Ranch is just 9 miles from Giga Nevada? Boy, the company's there. They must hold there. Boy, yeah. So I don't think Ford makes Mustangs in Nevada. I don't know what you guys. I don't know anything about that. I know there's wild
do
horses.
Some more research on that one. Yeah.
I will definitely go down there and spend a whole week at wherever I know there's wild horses that run free, and I don't wish
the
to.
only Ford logos are in the parking lot.
So many people concentrate on Tesla semis in Germany. They have the Iveco trucks. Semi and Scania both have about 300 miles of range. It's nice to watch the electric trucker with his simple journey on EV trucks in Germany, where they talk charging and issues with taking breaks and moving trucks once done charging. What regulations will we need to change for electric semi in the U.S.?
I don't think there's going to be any regulation change except for a slight change in weight, which has already been done to the Highway Traffic Act, giving EV trucks the ability to haul an extra, 1,000 pounds?
2,000 pounds?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
82,000 is the gross vehicle weight for electric semis and new energy semis, which would include hydrogen, of which there are some on the road. So I am not aware of any proposals to change any regulations. Great question. Thank you.
What I will do is comment on the electric trucker. I've watched that channel myself, and it's of interest. If you're in the trucking industry and would like to see the transition of somebody moving from gasoline to pure electric, it's a fun watch.
I will check it out. I'd like to see Mark in pantomime. Look out, Mark. There's a giant ram behind you. Where? Behind you. Oh, no, there isn't. Oh. Uh-huh. I don't know if you saw, but we got quite a few responses from people who had heard of 1 or 2 of those bizarre Christmas traditions for which your people are so well known.
Yeah, I have the feeling these people are probably offshore as well.
A lot of them were newfies. The
landers, absolutely.
Yeah, the stamping machine company got a big push. Yeah, that's kind of what they do. Okay. Is it bigger than a Walmart? I can pull it up, but I'm going to say yes. Walmarts are typically maybe 300,000 square feet, and this is 1 million. This is probably 3 times the size of a Walmart. What if you had only 1 or 2 cars that had batteries effectively turning every train? So we're talking about electric trains. what if you had just a few of the cars that were basically electric cars? So it still has cargo. It can still do that, but make some of the cars in a train electric. It's the same.
I am sure that many engineers have looked at this problem already and started to calculate what would actually be required, what kind of force, what kind of batteries, what kind of weight would make this make any sense whatsoever. And to this point, it's been really light on going completely electric on trains. So I got to believe that there are some engineering problems to overcome before this becomes practical.
All true. All true. It's been considered, and I don't know if we're going to get to it, but there was one of the comments said, "Well, why can't we just, replace the main structure of the train car with a structural battery and make every single train car have its own source of motion?" And I just thought, okay, so
Wow.
wow,
That would
where
be expensive.
that
Every train car having some sort of motor in it, having some sort of generation in it, having the wiring. Yeah, that would get real pricey.
real pricey. Train cars are already very expensive, but this would make them eye-wateringly expensive if every car was a locomotive. It would be so I just left it at the cost would be eye-watering, but the structural battery pack wouldn't do the trick. You need a structure that runs the length of it because of the weight capacity being, 200,000 pounds, I think, somewhere in that neighborhood. And one person said, well, you could put, I don't remember how many they said, 8 megapacks on the second car of the train and have that power the locomotive. No, that's way, way overweight capacity. You'd really only hold about two of
But
the two
one
XLs.
thing that trains could do, and it's starting to be done, is there's a few small passenger trains that are electrified with a solar backup. So that kind of thing happens when there's one or two cars. That is more of a tram type scenario. So I've seen that in Australia, and I've seen it in a couple of other places.
Yes, short distance ones where every time they pull into a stop, they can juice up a bit from the overhead lines. This is a good misunderstanding. The whole electric train thing is silly. It was solved 100 years ago with gantry wires.
True.
Um, True, there are 155,000 miles of rail in the US. Even in Europe, you'll find that they don't use overhead lines very often for outside the city because it is a very expensive and difficult solution. The install cost, sourcing 155,000 miles of wiring and equipment would be challenging, but the real challenge would be maintenance. A lot of US rails are remote and it would be an absolute nightmare to deal with. Are you going to shut down the rail lines constantly for repair? It'd be problematic. A lot of people pointing out that I made a sheep joke and then I shared my personal anecdote with goats, and that goats are not in fact sheep. This is fascinating. I had no idea that goats and sheep are not the same. I actually did know that. Um,
You know, what tipped me off was the two different names.
it's not that easy. It's not that easy. Here's a couple misconceptions. What is an ox?
That is its own separate animal. It's a pulling animal, similar to how a horse would pull, but it's a yeah. I thought it was its own separate, complete separate thing.
No, it's a boy cow with a job. It's just a bull with a job, is what an
Really?
ox is. Yes, it's just so. See, we're not all as clever as we think we are. That I have known for a long time, like maybe a year and a half, 2 years. So
We're all learning together.
we're all
This is
learning together.
fantastic.
And the other one is that that a pony is not a baby horse. It is a small horse. And the last one is that uh, a lamb is a sheep. It's a baby sheep. It's a lot of people don't realize that what Mary had was a bunch of sheep. You don't need to say little lamb. We already get it. A lamb is already little. So we've been lied to, folks. In the comments, which are at least for now, optional. You can ask us really clearly anything, and
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 we will
apparently,
happily go off into the weeds.
apparently that's what we do. Because yeah, I think yeah, there. Yeah, I'll do one more question here because instead of building transmission lines, anyone looking at putting mega packs on train cars and transporting energy from solar farms to where it's needed, as in juice up at the solar farm, run the train, discharge, bring it back.
Heavyweight to be pulling empty, basically empty batteries.
Yes, and slow. I mean, if you can afford to put in the rail line, you can afford to put in the transmission line. Would be my thought. It seems like a lot of steps. It's not the worst idea I've heard, but it's. I just don't think it would. I don't think the benefit would materialize. I think we would do just fine by not doing that. I think would be my thought. Anything else?
I think I'm
Guy,
trained out.
guys, what did you get for Christmas? That's what I need to know. Everybody else, subscribe, like, do what you do. Head over to the Tesla Life, see what they're up to. They've always got some great fun stuff over there. And everybody else, stay tuned, stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from you, clever robots, next time I trick you into watching one of our amazing videos.